It is the dog days of summer and time to get back in the middle of it with the Between2Bs podcast. I'm your host, Dave Walker. And like you, I am feeling a wonderful summer just circling the drain, man. It is almost over. And for me, I have the pleasure of delivering count them, three of my kids to college this coming week. So I'm hitting the gym. I'm hitting the Stairmaster. I'm hitting the Pilates. I got some new Hoka shoes. I am ready. But my team and I are also deep into the planning of our seventh annual Best to SMB Awards and Conference here in Chicago, October 9th and 10th. Who's going to be there, you might ask? Well, your peers, your partners, your prospects, members of the Institute, all united by a common challenge, selling at scale to millions of small business across the US and even around the world. In past years, over 70% of our attendees hold titles of VP and above, C-suite execs, thought leaders, champions of SMBs. But what's this conference going to be all about? Well, in addition to celebrating our 2024 Best SMB Awards, we're going to continue the theme of our recent Leaders Forum in Sonoma, the new sell to SMBs, but with a very special emphasis on AI. Simply put, can we collectively turn SMBs into AI superheroes? And if so, how are we going to do it? We're going to combine keynotes from Best to SMB nominees with frequent small-sided breakouts, so you get a chance to see and meet your fellow attendees. We'll keep our intimate atmosphere, it's maximum connectivity between attendees. We'll make sharing easy, from playbooks to case studies, research, insights, challenges, breakouts, shared wisdom on what it takes to succeed in this small business marketplace. So where's it at? Once again, we'll provide a venue, an experience, and a vibe that our attendees describe as their favorite show in the world. Thank you. We select our venues super carefully. We want intimate, we want relaxed, and most of all, we want inspiring. So we're going to welcome you to the spectacular tree gardens of Chicago's Morton Arboretum in fall, providing just the kind of setting that we love to provide. And nearby is Naperville, which is one of the largest suburban towns cities outside of Chicago. And it's just got an abundance of great food, entertainment, shops, and more. It really is Chicago's favorite neighborhood. So I hope you can join us. Check our site for ticket details. And here we go. Happy summer, everybody. This is Dave Walker at B2SMB Institute. Glad you could join us today. It is July 31st, officially the dog days of summer. A hot and steamy day here in Chicago. But beautiful. It's been a beautiful summer, to say the least. We've had some exciting announcements over the course of the last 60 days. And I don't think there's one that's more exciting than the fact that Maciek Szczesniak, or Magic, as he likes to be called, has joined the B2SMB Institute as our new Chief Growth and Strategy Officer. Magic was actually one of our keynotes at our recent Sonoma Leaders Forum, where he was a huge hit. I've really enjoyed getting to know him and tapping into his experience and his expertise. So please join me in welcoming Maciek Szczesniak. Maciek, how are you?
Hey Dave, I'm doing really great and very excited for everything that we're gonna do together. It's B2SMB Institute is a very unique organization. In my long tenure supporting the small and medium businesses and the channel that sells to the small and medium businesses, I wish I knew about the existence of B2SMB Institute when I work at HPE, because it's a great opportunity, a really unique opportunity for all the executives that are focused on SMB, including the people that are running SMB organizations within the larger corporations, or CEOs and senior leaders within the companies and organizations that are 100% focused on SMB to connect, to exchange ideas, to basically look at the problems that we have, or actually look for the solutions together on better supporting the small and medium business space.
Yeah, and I appreciate the plug. I think that you know, when we first met, you said very much the same thing as I never heard about you guys. And we do kind of keep a low profile because we are pretty exclusive and we really like to attract leaders who really are kind of sharing the road of selling to small businesses. You said in your long tenure in the space, could you give us just kind of a brief synopsis of your career and maybe culminating in why you're passionate about small businesses?
Well, I've been with Compaq, HP, and HPE because the company went through several mergers, acquisitions, and divestitures. I spent there 25 years and always connected very closely with the sales, with the channel, with the productivity improvements for the organization. SMB is a very interesting segment and always was a very interesting segment. First of all, when I started at Compaq in Poland, comparing to most of the US companies that a lot of very large companies in Poland are actually, something that would be considered an SMB in the US. So very interesting segment with a lot of opportunity always, because there are 350 million small and medium businesses that are very diverse. They have interesting businesses. Many times they are small but extremely important. And as a mass, as a segment itself, it's a very big portion of the many countries' GDP. So important segment, diverse segment, and very, very big opportunity to grow and expand.
So when you came to speak to us in Sonoma as a keynote in Sonoma, in fact, we actually have a Between2Bs podcast that we did a couple of weeks before the May event that I'll provide a link for so people can go back to listen to that. I think that for you, the Sonoma event where you had the opportunity to meet with so many of your peers, so many leadership peers who were essentially thinking about the new cell, the environment in which we find ourselves post-COVID, post-COVID, and kind of the new conditions of the small business market space, and specifically the challenges and opportunities that SMBs have. Now, can you, with a little bit of what you talked about in Sonoma, could you really kind of frame up what you think are the top challenges and opportunities that small businesses are facing, really, not just in the US, but globally right now?
Small and medium businesses started their mega digital transformation during COVID. A lot of companies, and we spoke about this many times, small and medium businesses during COVID had to kick off their digital transformation to survive. Working from home, remote work, remote support for their customers, remote delivery, e-commerce, all those activities require some form of a technology deployment. And post-COVID, a lot of SMBs struggled with kind of a quickly put together digital transformation strategy. So there's obviously an opportunity in the SMB and mid-market segment to further accelerate and kind of organize the technology stack. But there are new ways that are coming to change the small and medium business segment, and those two big waves are, first of all, the demographical changes and also the invention, or actually the kind of making public all the innovation around the generative AI.
Talk a little bit about can you talk a little bit about the demographic changes that you think are the most impactful as far as the profile of the average SMB?
Let's look specifically at the US. In the US, you start your business when you are about 35 years old on average. But most of the small and medium businesses, the owners are between 40 and 90% of them are more than 40 years old.
Hmm.
So this is a pretty tenured leadership structure. And obviously, many people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s that are still running their companies, they will have to adopt to something that to a new audience, to the millennials that are coming to the market with being digital native, being using the different communication channels, having much better access to information, to data. So many of the millennials, they do a lot of research before they even start buying. They don't like to be contacting people via phone. They don't like to be sold via phone. They
Hmm.
like to research on their own. They like the integration between the different products. So that is going to cause a lot of challenges for the SMBs that don't want to uh, evolve. But at the same time, it's a massive opportunity for the small and medium businesses to take advantage of this new generation of audience
Hmm.
to grab new business, basically, because those are new people, those are new customers. The customers are still looking to become loyal to a company, and obviously somebody that will offer them a compelling value proposition might be, a new organization, new company, new supplier. So it's a huge opportunity for SMBs that will take advantage of this change, recognize this change, and adopt to this, and maybe ride the wave of a millennials entering the market.
It's fascinating to see um, that the emergence of a younger entrepreneur, a younger small business owner, is really, I think, transforming not just the marketing message. In other words, the profile and the affinity basically you create with your marketing to a younger audience is is different. It really actually is more to your point. It's more their native expertise in digital to begin with is they're just savvier about social media. They're just savvier about applications and they're more comfortable, in fact, more demanding that software and applications actually help them, that they do things for them. And they can readily imagine that some menial task that their business requires them to do could be automated in some way and could be assisted in some way. So I think that's really critical in that we we never did have to dumb down the offering. I always kind of bristled at that idea that small businesses deserved dumbed down versions of what we were offering at an enterprise level. I don't believe that for a minute. But I also think that now it's even more incumbent on us to really think in terms of a sophisticated offering delivered in a sophisticated way with sophisticated users. And I think that's what opens up, I think, so many possibilities for, frankly, engineering better solutions and opens up the opportunities for AI, which is, I think, a big transition point in our conversation into in Sonoma without really, specifically having kind of a premeditated intent that in talking about the new cell, we would end up talking about AI. It just kind of happened that AI became an incredibly consistent topic or theme that came up in the conversations that we were having from keynotes and from panels and from breakouts. So, talk to us a little bit about what you think to be the current state of AI, and especially in relation to small businesses, and what you see as the big opportunities and the big challenges of AI as we moved into the latter half of 2024 and 2025.
The highlight of the Sonoma event was the panel. I like to think the highlight of the Sonoma event was my keynote speech, but obviously it wasn't. It was the panel of six small and medium businesses answering the questions from the audience. That's
Hmm.
always, having the customer telling you their mind, speaking their mind is the best part of any kind of an event and conversation. So the highlight of the event was those six SMBs that we had on the stage, kind of answering the questions from the moderator and then from the audience.
Yeah, no doubt. Nothing like hearing it straight from their mouth, right?
Yes, and you remember, there were five owners that I would, like the demographics in the US, they were probably in their late 40s or 50s. And there was one particular person that I would say was about 20 something, maybe 30 years old.
Hmm.
And you can instantaneously see the difference in the approach to the topics, to the questions that were thrown at the from the audience. Like, what do you do? What are you going to do about technology? What are you going to do about artificial intelligence? And this particular person, this young, entrepreneur was like, "Oh, I'm using AI everywhere. I use it here and there, and I'm testing it here, and in logistics. I'm trying it in the finance department. I'm trying in the analytics, and I'm trying it in the customer support and on the web, and here and there." And I would say the rest of the panelists, they were more skeptical and kind of observing and listening and trying to understand rather than confirming that they have already started using artificial intelligence. But
Hmm.
artificial intelligence, in my opinion, and this is, that was part of my keynote, we need to demystify it a little bit for the small and medium businesses. And I think what really resonated with them was comparing an artificial intelligence to a super smart, extremely knowledgeable, hardworking, 24 by 7 available, and a very affordable, but not experienced assistant.
Hmm.
AI is something that uh, is available. It's now being used by majority of the small and medium businesses, uh, and I believe that this is a huge lever for the small and medium business to close one of the biggest challenges that they always had, which is the big productivity gap to their larger friends, the larger corporations. I read recently a research by McKinsey, very, very interesting research, which is called A Microscope on Small Business. And this research by McKinsey, we might put it somewhere, like a link, maybe somewhere close to the podcast, is showing country by country in several countries, like subsegment by subsegment, what are the productivity gaps between the small and medium businesses and the large corporations? And in manufacturing, in trade, in construction, many times the gap is more than 50%. And it's a very tangible gap, which means they have a higher cost, so they have lower ability to generate revenue. They are just having a gap to close. And this army of assistants that small and medium business that will embrace artificial intelligence will be able to deploy to close the gap on the problem might
Hmm.
actually completely level the playing fields for them. Because, I mean, globalization is already there. SMBs can reach out to other countries, other continents, and try to sell and communicate with other. Those barriers are virtually gone.
Hmm.
I know that not every SMB is taking advantage of global market, but you can if you want. If you want, this is definitely possible for you. Artificial intelligence will close another gap, which is the challenge in productivity, and I think this is amazing.
Yeah, and I think that it's I think that's really kind of the root of the messaging to small business is as it relates to AI is uh, founded in productivity, is founded in you can do more, you can do it faster, you can do it better, you can do it smarter, you can do it more efficiently, you can do it more effectively, but you can do more. And I don't know a single small business that I've ever met, and I've certainly met a huge number who didn't live and die by their to-do list. And that to-do list of tasks, of things that need to get done for their business was it was kind of like remember that the Sorcerer's Apprentice, the Mickey Mouse cartoon tune that Mickey was basically trying to mop the floor and and he tried to magically make the mop do more, and it just kept multiplying and multiplying and multiplying. And I feel like that's the average small business's to-do list. It is just constantly multiplying of the things that need to get done. So they genuinely worry. What keeps them up at night is the ability to get what needs to get done. And if AI is presented as really the means by which you can get things done that you otherwise could not get done, faster, smarter, better, more capably, all those things, I think that the appeal will be absolutely huge. Stay tuned. There's more Between Two Bs to come. Since 2018, gosh, it's almost 6 years now, our members have met to share skills and their insights, and in many cases, their resources. But since early 2020, more and more have been meeting to form working partnerships. From co-marketing to co-development, from product or service bundling to shared mailing lists, collaboration is now king. Now, partnerships are showing up in job titles across the entire B2SMB community. In fact, in late 2022, we'd seen enough to bring collaboration to the very forefront of what we do. And that's when we started our partnership circle, which is open to all members. It's a network within our network that delivers not just frequent networking meetups, but nurtures connections that unite against a common challenge and a common ambition to win, to keep, and to grow small business customers. Reach out to us if you are interested in joining the B2SMBI Partnerships Council. But as we kind of set up our agenda for our October event, the theme is, how do we turn small businesses into AI superheroes? How do we let artificial intelligence do all the things for them that we think it can do? What are your kind of early thoughts on successfully enabling small businesses? What's the how look like?
I think there will be like 3 or 4 areas, maybe stages that artificial intelligence will get adopted into the SMB world. First of all, a lot of companies, large and small, that support small and medium business will start implementing artificial intelligence into their product offering. Okay, so if you are using accounting software today, soon there'll be an AI chatbot that will help you to maybe better book your expenses, or to maybe answer some of your questions about how to better position your expenses for a tax advantage. If you're using e-commerce, from your supplier, the e-commerce will soon have better ways, better algorithms, and maybe some AI chatbot that will be answering questions from your customers. If you are using customer support, if you need to answer phone calls, there'll be companies that will provide for you AI chatbots that will be basically answering the first line of calls, like the basic information about your company, maybe scheduling some appointments, maybe answering simple questions about your products. So that I think is going to be the first wave. Even such a small and important improvements like using Copilot in your virtual meetings, or to draft messages to your employees and your customers. That's the wave number one. The wave number two, I think, is going to be around cybersecurity. As we deploy artificial intelligence, and we will have to rely more and more on technology. And look what happened a couple of weeks ago when we've seen, the work basically taken down by a update, by a software update.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The same problem could happen. There was actually a mistake, some kind of a mistake of an engineer that slipped the wrong type of code into an update software. But in the future, a lot of challenges will come from the fact that the SMBs will be much more reliant on technology to operate. If today, you run a restaurant and you take your orders using a pen and paper, and then you walk over to the kitchen to hand them over to the cook to prepare a pizza, tomorrow that's going to be a tablet taking your orders. If the tablet is not working, you might not be able
Mm-hmm.
to send the order
Right.
to the kitchen, okay, or send a request or gather information about the supplies that you need to buy for the afternoon. So they're going to be more and more reliant on the technology, which means that the cyber criminals trying to take down your company will have, will be targeting small and medium business way more than they are doing today, especially that those cyber criminals will be also equipped with the latest AI tools.
Mm-hmm.
That they already have, ransomware as a service. So this is available. So that's going to be the second wave, the massive investment in the upgrading the cybersecurity using artificial intelligence to better protect small and medium businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Then I would hope that the third wave that the SMBs uh, will experience from the AI development is as they rely more on technology and gather more and more data about their operations, not only about how many products they produce and how much stuff they have in the warehouse, but also how they're more information about the customer behaviors, more information about the cells, more information about the usage of different materials for the production, etc., etc. As the more and more data is going to be consumed and gathered and collected, SMBs will start using this data to monetize, to improve the processes using artificial intelligence. And then the
Mm-hmm.
final step, and I hope that this final step comes super, super fast, is when small and medium businesses will fully understand how AI operates, because you need to learn it a little bit. You need to understand how this kind of a machine learning process works and everything. I'm not saying you need to master it, but I think you need to just mentally understand the concept. There will be innovation in the core business of the small and medium businesses
Mm-hmm.
that will take some of those small and medium businesses to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Something that we cannot even imagine, because I mean the innovation comes from the owners of the small and medium businesses, and the reason they exist and the reason they have such a fantastic companies is because they had this unique idea that nobody else had. So there will be more and more unique, interesting ideas that will be powered by artificial intelligence.
I agree, and I've seen evidence of it already. I think I've told you the story of um, a small stake I took in a veteran-owned business based out of DeKalb, Illinois, which is relatively close to where I live in the western burbs of Chicago. It's two ex United States Air Force drone operators who basically wanted to use drones to monitor crops, monitor agricultural fields. Um, and at first it was really a simple iPad interface that was kind of a dashboard that allowed an average user to send up a drone and have it uh, fly back and forth across their fields of corn or soy or whatever and measure moisture. That was it. That was the only thing that it was intended to do. But then they started adding on more and more features that measured the height of the plants, the density of the soil, and all the other things that kind of go into successfully raising a crop. Um, and about 2 months ago, I was sitting with them and we were really talking about frankly, a next round of funding that we'll be seeking in the early fall. And I think that in every great pitch, particularly when you're at a round C kind of level, you're past your seed stage, is really okay. What is not only how big is the total available market that you're focused on, but how big is the extended market in other areas, kind of parallel applications, other industries, et cetera. So they, as good and capable as they have been in imagining what this agricultural tool that they have created that's on board a drone, they really were struggling with, well, what are kind of the extensions? What are other areas that we could actually use this? And so sitting there with them, I said to one of the two guys, hey, input into Chat GPT the kind of overview sheet that we have of your product and ask it what other types of businesses or applications could this product have. So we did it and outspit this amazing list of other industries and other applications that their product could do. Um, and they were it was like they found gold. They were so excited because their imaginations were so focused on the product that they were doing, to your point, to open up the opportunity, to open up their eyes to, oh my gosh, we can use this technology in aquaculture, not just agriculture, but aquaculture. And we can use this, people who plant trees and grow trees can use it. Um, why can't we use something like it to monitor um, herds of cattle or flocks of sheep? Anything that's kind of an animal that's kind of growing in a field. And it kind of, they were so excited about it that frankly they wanted to get to work on all those applications right away. And I said, slow down. Let's stay focused on what we're doing and doing well. But I think that to me was illustrative of how AI won't just be a tool that helps you execute somewhat, the kind of dry productivity demands that you have, but it will help you imagine and open up all sorts of new possibilities for the offering that you have. And I think that's very, very exciting and certainly something to be drawn out in the offerings that we have for SMBs. So let me segue a little bit into, obviously you have a tremendous amount of global experience and in small businesses really from around the world. First question is, are small businesses around the world, um, are they similar? Are they really fundamentally in the challenges and the opportunities that they face? Are they similar? Are they very different? And second part of the question is, does AI provide a equally great opportunity to lift up the productivity of businesses, not just in developed countries, but in less developed countries?
There are some general similarities, obviously, between how the small and medium businesses operate in different countries. But there is a difference between how important the small and medium businesses are for the economy, how numerous they are within the different economies. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In the US, there is I think a certain percentage of the economy that is delivered to the SMBs, and I think it's around 50% or 60%. In more developing countries, this percentage of the economy, the percentage of GDP or percentage or the share of employment can be even higher. If you look at the countries like Kenya, Nigeria, Indonesia,
Mm-hmm.
it could be close to 100% of the employment is provided by the small and medium business sector.
Mm-hmm.
So reliance on the small and medium business in the developing countries is much higher. At the same time, the productivity gap for the developing countries is also much bigger than for the US. US small and medium business are pretty advanced. Even though they have a gap to the large corporations, they are pretty advanced for the standards of some of the emerging theaters of business. But that means, and there's a certain advantage of the emerging countries and emerging enterprises. Generally speaking, SMBs should have an advantage over large companies because they typically implement much faster. They might take longer for a decision. I think this is kind of a dilemma that we always had, when I was at HPE selling to SMB. It took a lot of time to convince the small and medium business to make the decision about the purchase, to invest in technology.
Mm-hmm.
But once the decision was made, the implementation was super rapid. It's a little bit the other way around with the larger corporations. They typically spend, because they have resources to spend on, investigating different technologies. They might be a little bit ahead in terms of understanding what they need from the technology investment point of view, but then running an RFQ, testing the market, doing the research, making sure that every box is checked, and then the rollout typically takes a lot of time. You need to stop the parts of the organization, run a pilot, then grow it globally, etc. So I think the critical for the small and medium businesses globally will be that they don't spend so much time on the decision-making process for the implementation of artificial intelligence. And that's why we will be, as B2SMB Institute, will be partnering with the universities across the United States of America to provide this enablement, to provide this awareness and enablement for the small and medium businesses so they can make a right decision super fast, because then they are getting into the area where they have an advantage over the large corporations, which is the implementation. They will be much faster to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, countries have a bit of advantage that they typically they don't have all the legacy technology they need to stop or replace. It was very evident, when I remember Poland, I remember Poland when it was kind of a developing before Poland joined EU. If you would go to Germany or France, there were a lot of people carrying those very large mobile phones, massive mobile phones around, okay? And I always, wow, that would be great to have such a phone. And there was never such a big coverage of those large, kind of the early mobile phones in Poland. But when Poland finally jump on the bandwagon of the mobile phones, we straight went into the GSM. We almost skipped all of the earlier technologies and we went straight to the GSM, which provided a much better quality, much faster speeds, and better coverage. So we kind of leapfrogged the rest of the developed countries in Europe. Same story right now when over the last 10, 15 years, when Poland made a major investment in infrastructure, if you drive across Poland now, the highways are just absolutely amazing. They're all new, super smooth, very well designed, etc., etc. And Germany, it was always, kind of a role model for highways, the Autobahn. Sometimes you go across the border and you get on this kind of an oldish highway that is kind of maybe not as smooth and not as wide, and there are not so many kind of additional convenience elements for the drivers. Okay, so I think for the emerging countries and for those who didn't invest in technology yet within the United States of America, jumping on AI, it's going to help to leapfrog maybe some of the generations of technology investment. So I think it's a huge opportunity both for the emerging businesses, for the SMBs generally speaking, and anybody that's going to be fast in recognizing the opportunity of artificial intelligence.
Stay tuned. There's more Between Two Bs to come. When I was building BizHive back in the day, along with my partner Derek Thompson, we took a lot of meetings with business to small business leaders from a range of big enterprises like American Express and Microsoft and Sprint and Dell. When we took those meetings, which were all conducted in the same windowless conference room, we heard verbatim the same litany of complaints. SMBs are tough to reach, and once you reach them, tough to engage and gain trust, which makes qualifying their needs extra hard. And don't get me started on closing. A 9-month average close cycle? Boy, SMBs are the toughest sell on planet Earth. If this story sounds familiar, we have a place for you to share your pain. The B2SMB Institute is first and foremost a place to improve your sales outcomes, top to bottom. How do we do it? We introduce you to peers tackling the same challenges. So many of them have had that one tip, that one insight, that one tactic that leaves you saying, wow, I got to try that. So come get your sales on. Join the B2SMB Institute today. So one of the things that we'll do at our October event, October 9th and 10th, here in Chicago, and I'll provide a link in the comment section to the event itself and tickets to the event. But we're celebrating what we've done now for the last 7 years, what we call the Best to SMB, the Best to SMB awards that we'll hand out. And it's really to the brands, and this year for the first time, the executive that best represents kind of service to the small business market space, especially in the US. As you think about the delivery of AI within a business to small business brand offering, who do you think is doing it best right now?
It's difficult to say, Dave, because there are some companies that do a fantastic job embedding AI to everything they do. Look at Google, look at Microsoft. I mean, Microsoft Copilot is now, I'm using it in Excel, in Outlook, in Teams, it's
Mm-hmm.
PowerPoint. So it's extremely helpful and a big productivity gain for me. Look at Google's, Gemini available in, kind of a Google Meet, in the spreadsheets, in all the tools that they provide. So it's kind of almost instantaneously you can start taking advantage of the artificial intelligence, generative artificial intelligence. Not many people do that. When I sometimes demonstrate the possibilities that even those simple tools do, it's just amazing. But what I see is a lot of companies that offer that are focused on small and medium business very quickly deploy artificial intelligence elements into their software, into their offering. I mean, take all the cybersecurity companies. Everybody is talking about employing artificial intelligence to improve the protection from the cyber threats. So it's very difficult because it's still very early. I think it's important. It's important to try. And if I could have one recommendation to anybody that's running a small business, just take a look at whatever you can. Start with OpenAI, ChatGPT, or Microsoft Copilot, or Google Gemini, and then ask all your suppliers what is their artificial intelligence strategy and how are they going to use AI to improve your productivity. That's going to be probably super important question to ask. But if you're asking me, who should get a recognition, I would definitely recognize Microsoft and Google because they currently do the most to kind of advertise artificial intelligence and enable and inform people about the benefits. But I just don't have the breadth of all the other offerings on the market.
Yeah, and I think that it is I agree with you. It's easy to recognize Google and Microsoft, and I would say to a certain extent, some of the other very large players that are kind of Adobe is a good example, that are in their marketing at least, they are selling AI really under the tagline, imagine what you can do, right? And kind of portraying that world where, whatever if you think it, you can do it with artificial intelligence. And I certainly think that's an appropriate tagline for kind of what they're capable of offering right now. I think it'll be supplanted soon enough, as we both agreed earlier, with messages around productivity and specific applications. But I also think it's telling in a way that we, I'm not sure I do much better with you in naming the specific brands and product offerings that are best to SMB when it comes to their AI offering. Um, do you believe, though, that there's going to be kind of see if I can figure out the right way to put this, that there is um, a kind of a common thread in the AI productivity applications and features and enhancements that are offered in small business product? Is there something that you're seeing as emerging as, they're all going to probably do something like this, or they're all going to have this kind of use or interface, even user experience with small business? Anything from your perspective that's emerging on that front?
Can you ask the question again, Dave?
Okay, I'll try. So I'll give you a specific, maybe giving an example. So what I've started to notice is that for a lot of the tools that are part of day-to-day administration of a business, of the operations of a business, for instance, a tool that does bookkeeping, that the application of AI within a bookkeeping tool that we use here is to prompt you to think about, or to double check, or to take another step with your interaction with that particular platform, that program. In other words, it's kind of watching over your shoulder what you're doing and saying, hey, you might want to, since you've done this, you might want to think of that. Since you just balanced your checkbook and it is near the end of the month, would you like to, build a pro forma P&L for the month now? And that just came up in actual use just yesterday. And I thought that's interesting because that particular kind of prompt didn't exist at the end of June when we were doing kind of a summary of the month, but it existed yesterday, and I thought that's interesting. And by the way, it was, I'll do it for you. It wasn't you need to do it. It was, I'll do it for you. Hit this button, and I, as the artificial intelligence behind this bookkeeping platform, will do it for you. So I guess, so my question is that kind of a pattern that we're going to see in the integration of artificial intelligence into small business applications? And are there others? Are there other patterns that we're going to see as far between different products and offerings in the application of AI?
At this point in time, my observation is that artificial intelligence is it's a language model. It's a natural language. It's a large language model.
Mm-hmm.
So the best applications today, and the more productivity is gained around the better usage of language.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's in marketing, in recommendations, like providing a more better the recommendations that you can better understand, I guess, or answers to questions. If you have the right data behind it, like this chatbot answering questions from customers. I've seen a lot of very interesting implementations nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's becoming a little bit more challenging with regards to calculations, because this is where the ability for the generative AI to generate something could sometimes cause basically hallucinations, and the hallucinations from the numbers perspective are much more impactful than or dangerous for the small and medium business than the errors in the language, right? I mean, when you look at the language, if you know your stuff, this is like when I had this lecture at the University of Washington for the students around the artificial intelligence. I said, well, if you will use AI to write your essay, you better know what the essay is to be all about, because AI can write anything. And if you don't know the topic very well, it might tell you something that is absolutely not true, and you will not be able to spot it. So you need to still be responsible for the output. And it's much easier for many people to spot the challenges in the output in the kind of a text that is being produced.
Mm-hmm.
The reason we use, the reason we struggle sometimes with the calculations is much more difficult for people to spot errors in the calculations, especially when you calculate very large amounts of data. So I would say, like the first kind of a wave will be probably anything that is connected with recommendations, answers to the questions, language questions, like, what is the most popular product? What is the name? How can I rework the name? Write me a message, draft me a summary. That's definitely something that is going to prevail initially. I struggled recently with the implementation of the artificial intelligence chatbot in the calculation of the databases when I was asking certain questions about, can you calculate for me certain, kind of information from the database, and then the return, I would be very skeptical about the return. Then I would check manually, do my own calculation. I would find out a lot of errors in that. Just pure hallucination. So I guess the first will be this marketing, language, messaging, chatbots. That's going to be number one applications, because that's where the generative AI, large language models, are the most capable at the moment.
Makes absolute sense. Hey, this has been fantastic, and I think if nothing else, you've demonstrated what an amazing Chief Growth and Strategy Officer you're going to be for the Institute and for our community. More to come, obviously. To be sure our audience is aware, you're going to have your own standalone through the fall, your own standalone Between2Bs podcasts. As I think people will come to learn, you bring in a very large community of followers and of peers and friends, kind of in this business, a small business industry, specifically in the technology space. We want to hear from them, particularly as we really try to, I think over the next 18 months, really try assist our membership in the application of AI within their own products and services, their own ways of going to market, both with AI and via AI. And I think that we're just going to keep this conversation going because it is so very, very rich. Thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it. I know it's the late afternoon in Warsaw. I appreciate you joining us on the early morning of the US. Thanks, Maciek.
Thank you so much, Dave, and looking forward to speak to you again.
Hey, thanks for joining us for this episode of Between2Bs. If you're coming to Chicago, I look forward to seeing you. And if you still need a ticket, you better hurry. I mean, don't forget, there's always more Between2Bs.